This is something that you must do for yourself. We are not weak and wimpy, we are warriors.
In a world filled with uncertainty and chaos, one woman remains steadfast in her faith and commitment to spreading the message of hope and inspiration. What is happening to Joyce Meyer is so sad. She has been dealing with some personal and ministry-related issues. Joyce Meyer has faced a wrongful death lawsuit against Joyce Meyer Ministries and was featured in an episode of Forensic Files 2, highlighting the 2009 murder of Sherry Coleman and her 2 sons by her husband Christopher Coleman, who was the chief of security at Joyce Meyer Ministries. In 2009, a horrific crime shook the small town of Columbia, Illinois. Sherry Coleman and her 2 young sons, Garrett and Gavin, were found brutally murdered in their home. The investigation led police to Christopher Coleman, Sherry's husband and the father of the 2 boys. What the police discovered was shocking. Christopher Coleman was not only the killer, but he was also the chief of security at Joyce Meyer Ministries. As the trial unfolded, it became clear that Christopher Coleman had been leading a double life. On the surface, he was a devoted husband and father, but in reality, he was having an affair with a woman named Tara Lentz. Christopher Coleman had been planning the murder for months, using his position at Joyce Meyer Ministries to gather information and resources. He even used the ministry's email system to send threatening messages to himself, making it look like he and his family were in danger. The trial was highly publicized, and Joyce Meyer Ministries was criticized for handling the situation. The ministry had employed Christopher Coleman as its chief of security, despite his lack of experience and qualifications. The Coleman family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Joyce Meyer Ministries, alleging that the ministry had been negligent in its hiring and supervision of Christopher Coleman. The lawsuit was settled out of court in 2012, with Joyce Meyer Ministries agreeing to pay an undisclosed amount to the Coleman family. The tragic death of Sherry Coleman and her sons serves as a reminder of the devastating consequences of domestic violence and the importance of holding institutions accountable for their actions. Joyce Meyer Ministries has since implemented new hiring and supervision policies, but the legacy of the Coleman tragedy continues to be felt. This tragic event reminds us of the importance of accountability and transparency, and the need for institutions to prioritize the safety and well-being of their employees and the communities they serve. Joyce Meyer is a world-renowned American Christian author, speaker, and Bible teacher, who has been a pillar of strength and inspiration to millions of people around the globe. Born on June 4, 1943, in St. Louis, Missouri, Joyce's life is a testament to the power of faith, resilience, and determination. Joyce's early life was marked by adversity and hardship. She was born to a teenage mother and was later abandoned by her father. Despite facing numerous challenges, including being sexually abused as a child, when her mother paid no attention to her, she found solace in her faith and the teachings of the Bible. In her early 20s, Joyce married her first husband, but the marriage was short-lived and they were divorced. It was during this period of her life that Joyce began to develop a deeper understanding of God's love and grace. She started attending church regularly and began to study the Bible in earnest. Joyce's spiritual journey took a significant turn in 1976, when she had a life-changing experience with God. This encounter marked the beginning of her ministry, and she soon began teaching Bible studies and speaking at local churches. In the 1980s, Joyce's ministry began to gain momentum. She started a radio ministry, Life in the Word, which quickly gained popularity. Her straightforward, no-nonsense approach to teaching the Bible resonated with listeners from all walks of life. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, Joyce's ministry continued to expand. She wrote numerous best-selling books, including Battlefield of the Mind, Beauty for Ashes, and The Power of a Praying Woman. Her television program, Enjoying Everyday Life, was broadcast globally, reaching millions of viewers. Today, Joyce Meyer Ministries is a global organization that reaches millions of people through various media outlets, including television, radio, and online platforms. Joyce's teachings focus on empowering believers to live victorious lives by applying biblical principles to everyday challenges. Through her ministry, Joyce has helped countless people find hope, healing, and restoration. Her candid, straightforward approach has endeared her to audiences from diverse backgrounds, making her a beloved and trusted spiritual leader. Joyce Meyer, a renowned Christian author, speaker, and Bible teacher, has been at the center of several financial controversies over the years. While Meyer has built a reputation as a respected and influential Christian leader, her financial dealings have raised eyebrows and sparked criticism from some quarters. One of the earliest financial controversies surrounding Joyce Meyer dates back to the 1990s when she was criticized for her lavish lifestyle. Meyer had built a multi-million-dollar ministry and was known for her expensive clothing, jewelry, and luxury homes. Critics accused her of using donations from her followers to fund her lavish lifestyle. In 2005, Joyce Meyer Ministries was one of 6 Christian ministries investigated by the Senate Finance Committee, chaired by Senator Chuck Grassley. The investigation focused on the financial dealings of several high-profile Christian ministries, including Meyer's. The committee raised questions about Meyer's use of ministry funds for personal expenses, including the purchase of a private jet and several luxury homes. Meyer responded to the investigation by stating that she had done nothing wrong and that her ministry was transparent about its financial dealings. However, the investigation led to changes in the way Meyer's ministry reported its finances and used donations. Another financial controversy surrounding Joyce Meyer involves her compensation package. According to reports, Meyer receives a significant salary from her ministry, as well as other benefits, such as the use of a private jet and luxury homes. Critics have accused Meyer of using ministry funds to enrich herself, rather than using the funds to support charitable causes. Joyce Meyer has responded to these criticisms by stating that her compensation package is reasonable and that she uses her ministry funds to support a wide range of charitable causes. However, the controversy has led to calls for greater transparency and accountability in the way Christian ministries report their finances and use donations. In recent years, Joyce Meyer has faced criticism for her ministry's lack of transparency and accountability. In 2019, the Evangelical Council for Financial Accountability, ECFA, removed Joyce Meyer Ministries from its membership list due to concerns about the ministry's financial transparency and governance. The controversy surrounding Joyce Meyer's financial dealings has sparked a wider debate about the role of Christian ministries in society and the need for greater transparency and accountability in their financial dealings. While Meyer has built a reputation as a respected and influential Christian leader, her financial controversies have raised important questions about the use of ministry funds and the need for greater accountability and transparency. As the debate surrounding Joyce Meyer's financial dealings continues, one thing is clear. The need for transparency and accountability in Christian ministries is more important than ever. By examining the financial dealings of Christian ministries like Joyce Meyer Ministries, we can work towards creating a more transparent and accountable Christian community. More recently, Meyer's leadership style has been criticized by former employees and ministry insiders. These critics have accused Meyer of being controlling and manipulative, using her power and influence to silence critics and maintain her authority. Meyer has responded to these criticisms by arguing that her leadership style is necessary to maintain order and discipline within her ministry. She has also emphasized her commitment to accountability and transparency, pointing to her ministry's financial disclosures and governance structure as evidence of her accountability. However, critics argue that Meyer's leadership style is not only authoritarian, but also unaccountable. They point to the lack of transparency and accountability within Meyer's ministry, and her refusal to submit to external oversight or accountability. The criticism of Joyce Meyer's authoritarian leadership style raises important questions about the nature of Christian leadership and the importance of accountability and transparency within Christian ministries. Joyce Meyer has been at the center of controversy surrounding her views on women's roles. The controversy surrounding Joyce Meyer's views on women's roles serves as a reminder of the ongoing debate within the Christian community about the role of women in the church and society. While Meyer's views may be controversial, they have sparked an important conversation about the importance of mutual submission and respect in marriage, and the need for women to be free to pursue their callings and careers without restriction. She believes that the Bible teaches that women are to submit to their husbands, and that men are to be the spiritual leaders of their households. While Meyer acknowledges that women can and should play important roles in the church and society, she believes that these roles should be secondary to their roles as wives and mothers. Meyer has responded to these criticisms by arguing that her views on women's roles are based on a careful reading of Scripture, and that they are intended to promote healthy and fulfilling relationships between men and women. She has also emphasized the importance of women playing important roles in the church and society, while also prioritizing their roles as wives and mothers. Another lawsuit was filed against the ministry of Joyce Meyer, which was filed in 2012, alleging that Meyer's ministry had misused funds and engaged in other financial improprieties. The lawsuit was filed by a former employee of Joyce Meyer Ministries, who alleged that the ministry had engaged in a range of financial improprieties, including the misuse of funds, the payment of excessive salaries to ministry executives, and the failure to disclose financial information to the public. This lawsuit also alleged that Meyer's ministry had used funds to support Meyer's lavish lifestyle, including the purchase of a private jet, a luxury home, and expensive clothing and jewelry. Joyce Meyer responded to the lawsuit by denying all allegations of financial impropriety. She stated that her ministry was transparent about its finances, and that all funds were used for legitimate ministry purposes. Meyer also stated that the lawsuit was an attempt to discredit her and her ministry, and that it was motivated by a desire for financial gain. The lawsuit was eventually settled out of court, with the terms of the settlement remaining confidential. Despite the settlement, the controversy surrounding Joyce Meyer's ministry finances has continued to be a topic of debate and discussion within the Christian community. Joyce Meyer's ministry finances have been criticized for a lack of transparency and accountability. Critics have argued that Meyer's ministry has failed to disclose financial information to the public and that it has used funds for questionable purposes. Once the Senate Finance Committee, chaired by Senator Chuck Grassley, launched an investigation into the financial dealings of several high-profile Christian ministries, including Joyce Meyer Ministries. The investigation found that Meyer's ministry had used funds to support Meyer's lavish lifestyle, including the purchase of a private jet and a luxury home. While Joyce Meyer has denied all allegations of financial impropriety, the controversy has highlighted the need for Christian ministries to be transparent about their finances and to use funds for legitimate ministry purposes. Joyce Meyer was also criticized for her views on homosexuality. Background of the controversy surrounding Joyce Meyer's views on homosexuality began in the early 2000s, when Meyer started to speak publicly about the issue. Meyer's teachings on homosexuality were based on her interpretation of biblical scripture, in which she believed that homosexuality is condemned in the Christian religion and is a sin. Joyce Meyer's views on homosexuality are rooted in her conservative Christian theology. She believes that homosexuality is contrary to God's design for human relationships. Meyer has stated that she loves and accepts people who identify as LGBTQ+, but that she cannot support their behavior. Joyce Meyer's views on homosexuality have been criticized by many within the Christian community and by the people who follow her because homosexuality is very common in them. Critics argue that Meyer's teachings on homosexuality are overly simplistic and fail to take into account the complexity of human sexuality. They also argue that Meyer's views are hurtful and damaging to LGBTQ+ individuals who may already feel marginalized and excluded from the Christian community. Despite the criticisms, Joyce Meyer's views on homosexuality have been supported by many within the conservative Christian community. Supporters argue that Meyer's teachings on homosexuality are based on a clear and consistent reading of biblical scripture, and that they reflect a commitment to upholding traditional Christian values. The controversy surrounding her views in this regard is a complex and multifaceted issue. While Meyer's teachings on homosexuality have been criticized by many, they have also been supported by others within the conservative Christian community. Ultimately, the controversy highlights the need for ongoing dialogue and discussion within the Christian community about the nature of human sexuality and the role of LGBTQ+ individuals within the church. Joyce Meyer has also shared her experiences with emotional abuse and trauma. Her story is a powerful testament to the human spirit's capacity for resilience, healing, and transformation. Born on June 4, 1943, in St. Louis, Missouri, Joyce grew up in a dysfunctional home. Her father, a World War II veteran, struggled with anger and alcoholism, creating a toxic environment for Joyce and her family. The emotional abuse Joyce suffered at the hands of her father had a profound impact on her life. shaping her self-perception, relationships, and overall well-being. One of the most significant effects of Joyce's emotional abuse was her struggle with low self-esteem. She has spoken publicly about feeling worthless, unlovable, and unworthy of happiness. These negative self-perceptions haunted Joyce for many years, influencing her relationships and decision-making. Despite these challenges, Joyce found solace in her faith. She began attending church and studying the Bible, which helped her develop a stronger sense of self-worth and purpose. Joyce's faith also gave her the courage to seek help and support, including therapy and counseling. In the 1970s, Joyce began sharing her story publicly, using her experiences to help others heal from emotional abuse and trauma. Her transparency and vulnerability have inspired countless people around the world, demonstrating that healing, restoration, and redemption are possible. Today, Joyce Meyer is a respected voice on issues related to emotional abuse, trauma, and recovery. Her teachings emphasize the importance of self-care, boundary setting, and seeking support. Joyce's story serves as a powerful reminder that no one is alone in their struggles, and that healing is always possible. As Joyce often says, "You can't change your past, but you can change your future." Her life is a testament to the human spirit's capacity for resilience, healing, and transformation. Joyce Meyer's life has been a testament to her unwavering faith. But one of her most challenging experiences was her diagnosis and triumph over breast cancer. In 1989, Joyce Meyer received the devastating news that she had breast cancer. At the time, Joyce was a successful Bible teacher and speaker, but this diagnosis brought her to her knees. Joyce has spoken publicly about the fear and uncertainty that gripped her when she first heard the news. She had always been a strong and confident person, but this diagnosis made her feel vulnerable and powerless. Despite her fears, Joyce knew that she had to face this challenge head-on. She underwent surgery and radiation treatment, and she also made significant changes to her diet and lifestyle. Throughout her treatment, Joyce leaned heavily on her faith and her support system. She has spoken about the importance of having a strong network of friends and family during this time, and she has also talked about the ways in which her faith helped her to stay positive and focused. One of the most significant challenges that Joyce faced during her breast cancer treatment was the emotional toll that it took on her. She has spoken about feeling anxious, depressed, and fearful at times, but she has also talked about how she was able to find peace and comfort during these challenges. Joyce's experience with breast cancer had a profound impact on her life and ministry. It taught her the importance of living in the present moment, and it also gave her a newfound appreciation for the beauty and fragility of life. Today, Joyce Meyer is a breast cancer survivor and advocate. She has used her platform to raise awareness about breast cancer and to encourage others to take control of their health. Her bravery and resilience in the face of this challenge are an inspiration to countless people around the world. Joyce's story is a powerful reminder that breast cancer can affect anyone, regardless of their age, background, or circumstances. It also highlights the importance of early detection, treatment, and support. Joyce Meyer has also suffered from osteoporosis, which is a very chronic disease, and this disease has affected her in a very dangerous way. In her 50s, Joyce began experiencing symptoms of osteoporosis, including back pain, brittle bones, and a loss of height. At first, she attributed these symptoms to aging, but as they worsened, she knew she needed to seek medical attention. After undergoing a series of tests, Joyce received a diagnosis of osteoporosis. She was shocked and devastated by the news, as she had always been active and healthy. However, Joyce was determined to take control of her health and to find ways to manage her osteoporosis. Joyce's treatment plan included a combination of medication, exercise, and lifestyle changes. She began taking calcium and vitamin D supplements to help strengthen her bones, and she also started a regular exercise program that included weight-bearing activities, such as walking and strength training. In addition to these physical changes, Joyce also made emotional and spiritual adjustments. She learned to prioritize her health and well-being, and she also found ways to manage her stress and anxiety. Joyce's faith played a significant role in her journey, as she learned to trust God and to find peace in the midst of uncertainty. Today, Joyce Meyer is an osteoporosis advocate and a voice of hope for those living with this condition. Her story is a powerful reminder that osteoporosis is not just a natural part of aging, but rather a manageable condition that can be treated with the right combination of medication, exercise, and lifestyle changes. As Joyce often says, osteoporosis may be a part of my life, but it does not define me. I am more than my illness, and I am determined to live a life that is full, happy, and healthy. While Meyer has built a reputation as a respected and influential Christian leader, her teachings on healing have sparked criticism and debate within the Christian community. The controversy surrounding Joyce Meyer's teachings on healing began several years ago, when Meyer started teaching that it is always God's will to heal believers. Meyer argued that healing is a fundamental aspect of the Christian faith, and that believers should expect to receive healing from God. Critics of Meyer's teachings argued that her views on healing were overly simplistic and failed to take into account the complexities of human suffering. Critics also argued that Meyer's teachings on healing could lead to disappointment and disillusionment for believers who do not receive healing. Joyce Meyer responded to the criticism by arguing that her teachings on healing are based on a careful reading of Scripture. Meyer pointed to passages such as Matthew 8:17, which states that Jesus took up our infirmities and bore our diseases, and argued that these passages demonstrate that healing is a fundamental aspect of the Christian faith. Meyer also argued that her teachings on healing are not intended to create unrealistic expectations or to imply that believers will always receive physical healing. Rather, Meyer argued that her teachings on healing are intended to encourage believers to trust in God's goodness and sovereignty, even in the midst of suffering. Despite Meyer's response, criticisms of her teachings on healing continue to be raised. Some critics argue that Meyer's teachings on healing are overly focused on physical healing and fail to take into account the importance of spiritual healing and emotional wholeness. Other critics argue that Meyer's teachings on healing can be hurtful and insensitive to believers who are struggling with chronic illnesses or disabilities. These critics argue that Meyer's teachings on healing can create unrealistic expectations and can lead to feelings of guilt and shame for believers who do not receive healing. Ultimately, the controversy surrounding Joyce Meyer's teachings on healing serves as a reminder of the importance of approaching the Christian faith with humility, sensitivity, and a commitment to nuance and complexity. Despite facing numerous challenges and criticisms throughout her life, Joyce Meyer remains an iconic figure in the Christian world, inspiring countless individuals with her unwavering faith, resilience, and compassion. Her legacy continues to be a beacon of hope, reminding us that with determination and trust in God, we can overcome even the most daunting obstacles. Her life has been a testament to the human spirit's perseverance, forgiveness, and love. As she continues to spread her message of hope and inspiration, her story serves as a powerful reminder that our trials can become the catalyst for transformation, and that with faith, we can rise above adversity and fulfill our purpose. It began as a seemingly routine Hollywood project, one that should have been smooth, unremarkable, and even joyful. Henry Winkler, a name synonymous with warmth and humor thanks to his portrayal of the iconic Arthur the Fonz Fonzarelli on Happy Days, was stepping into the director's chair for a new feature film, Turner and Hooch. The movie, set for release in 1989, was a classic buddy comedy with an unconventional twist. Tom Hanks, then a rising star who had already delivered standout performances in Splash and Big, would play Scott Turner, a detective forced to team up with a slobbery, unruly dog named Hooch to solve a murder. The concept was lighthearted, funny, and exactly the kind of feel-good entertainment that the late 1980s audiences loved. And given Winkler's charm and success in television, both in front of and behind the camera, it seemed like an ideal pairing. But beneath the surface, cracks were already forming. The project that should have brought two of Hollywood's most affable stars together instead became the backdrop for a creative clash that would linger in Hollywood lore for decades. What exactly happened between Henry Winkler and Tom Hanks? How did it escalate to the point where Winkler was removed, unceremoniously, just 13 days into filming? And why, despite both men's reputations for kindness, has this story persisted so long? The creative collision on Turner and Hooch. To fully understand this conflict, it's important to appreciate the professional moment both men were experiencing. Henry Winkler was a household name, having soared to stardom as Fonzie on Happy Days. He was not only adored by fans, but also respected for his versatility as an actor. Behind the scenes, Winkler had begun directing television episodes and saw Turner and Hooch as an opportunity to expand his creative influence in Hollywood. This was a chance to prove himself as a capable film director, one who could deliver a hit that resonated with audiences and critics alike. Tom Hanks, on the other hand, was transitioning from comedic roles to leading man status. The success of Big had already solidified him as a box office draw and a star with real depth. Hanks was on the precipice of something extraordinary, and he knew it. For him, Turner and Hooch was more than just another comedy. It was a chance to fine-tune his evolving image as an actor who could blend humor with emotional weight. The stakes were high for both men, and this shared pressure likely set the stage for their clash. According to accounts over the years, Winkler and Hanks simply did not see eye to eye on the film's tone or direction. As production began, creative disagreements quickly surfaced. Winkler, still relatively new to feature directing, had his vision for how the humor and pacing should unfold. Hanks, committed to his role, and perhaps already aware of the film's potential impact on his trajectory, reportedly had strong opinions of his own. Tensions grew. Some sources have suggested that Hanks felt Winkler's approach didn't serve the story's heart or humor. Others say that Winkler's directorial style clashed with Hanks's more naturalistic instincts as a performer. Whatever the specifics, it soon became clear to those on set that their collaboration wasn't working. Then came the breaking point. Just 13 days into production, Henry Winkler was fired. The word fired is harsh, one that Winkler himself has acknowledged as a significant blow. Years later, in an interview, he recounted how a member of the crew predicted the day it would happen. Winkler described how he was scouting locations in Carmel, California, when a fan recognized him and called out, "Henry, Fonz." At that moment, the film's director of photography reportedly told Winkler that his time on the project was over. Whether Winkler knew it in that moment or not, the decision had been made. The studio removed him and replaced him with another director, Roger Spottiswoode, who would ultimately finish the film. The fallout and the silence for Henry Winkler, being dismissed from Turner and Hooch, was deeply painful. To be fired so early in production was not only a professional setback, but also an emotional blow. In interviews over the years, Winkler has spoken about the incident with a mix of sadness and grace. He never attacked Hanks publicly or accused him of wrongdoing, but he has made it clear that the experience stung. At times, Winkler's recollections carry a sense of disbelief, as though he still doesn't quite understand why the collaboration unraveled the way it did. Tom Hanks, for his part, has remained largely silent about the incident. Hanks is well known for his generosity, humility, and aversion to drama. He has a reputation as one of Hollywood's most grounded and kind-hearted stars, someone who treats co-stars, directors, and crew members with equal respect. Hanks's decision to avoid commenting on the Winkler incident may reflect his preference to steer clear of conflict and focus on the positive, or it might suggest that, from his perspective, the incident was never personal. Perhaps Hanks saw the tension as a natural part of the filmmaking process, one of many challenges that arise when creative visions clash. The silence from both men only fueled public curiosity. Hollywood thrives on gossip, and the idea that two of its most nice guy figures could have fallen out became irresistible fodder for speculation. Fans struggled to reconcile the story with their public personas. How could Henry Winkler, known for his kindness and humility, and Tom Hanks, often referred to as America's dad, end up on opposite sides of such a dramatic creative divide? Over time, the incident became something of a Hollywood myth. The so-called Winkler-Hanks feud was discussed in whispers, and often presented with an air of bemusement. After all, it's difficult to imagine these two affable stars holding grudges. For years, fans have wondered, was this really a feud, or was it just a brief professional clash blown out of proportion? Understanding Henry Winkler. To understand why this incident left such a mark on Henry Winkler, it's important to appreciate the kind of person he is. Henry Winkler is a man defined by kindness, empathy, and perseverance. Born in 1945 to Jewish immigrant parents who fled Nazi Germany, Winkler's early life was shaped by challenges, particularly his struggles with undiagnosed dyslexia. For years, he was dismissed as a poor student, and those experiences left him with deep insecurities. Yet Winkler channeled those struggles into resilience. He pursued acting, defied the odds, and eventually landed the role that would make him a star, Fonzie on Happy Days. What made Winkler's portrayal of Fonzie so iconic was the depth he brought to the character. While Fonzie was tough and cool on the surface, Winkler infused him with warmth, humor, and a sense of vulnerability. It's this ability to find humanity in his roles that has defined Winkler's career. Off-screen, he's always been known as a kind-hearted and compassionate figure who makes time for everyone, whether they're fans, co-stars, or crew members. Even as his career expanded beyond Happy Days, Winkler remained grounded. He went on to direct, produce, and write, and he became a vocal advocate for children with dyslexia, using his own experiences to inspire others. For someone as collaborative and empathetic as Winkler, the firing from Turner and Hooch must have felt profoundly disorienting. Winkler has spoken openly about how rejection can cut deep, particularly for actors and creative professionals. His firing was likely not just a professional disappointment, but also a personal one, something that challenged his sense of purpose and self-worth. Moving forward. In the years following Turner and Hooch, both Henry Winkler and Tom Hanks achieved incredible success. Hanks became one of the most celebrated actors of his generation, winning multiple Academy Awards and starring in some of the most iconic films of all time. From Forrest Gump to Saving Private Ryan to Cast Away, Hanks cemented his place as a Hollywood legend. Along the way, he maintained his reputation as a kind, humble, and generous figure, someone who leads with empathy and integrity. Henry Winkler, too, thrived. While he may not have achieved the same level of superstardom as Hanks, he carved out a remarkable career filled with memorable roles, meaningful contributions, and moments of personal triumph. He became a successful children's book author, sharing stories inspired by his struggles with dyslexia. He returned to the spotlight with standout performances in shows like Arrested Development and Barry, earning critical acclaim and a well-deserved Emmy Award. Over time, the Winkler-Hanks incident faded into the background, a minor footnote in two extraordinary careers. Both men demonstrated that a single professional clash does not define a person's character or trajectory. Instead, their lives and work have been defined by resilience, kindness, and an unwavering commitment to their craft. A lesson in grace. So, what can we learn from the so-called Winkler-Hanks feud? Perhaps the most important takeaway is that even the kindest, most affable people can experience conflict. Creative differences are an inevitable part of any collaborative process, especially in an industry as high stakes as Hollywood. What matters is how people move forward, and in that regard, both Winkler and Hanks have set an admirable example. Neither man allowed the incident to derail their careers or tarnish their reputations. Winkler continued to inspire audiences with his warmth and authenticity, while Hanks became a global icon celebrated for his humility and humanity. Their story reminds us that conflict, while painful, does not have to define us. What matters most is the grace, professionalism, and resilience we show in its aftermath. In the end, the alleged Winkler-Hanks feud is less about bitterness and more about humanity. It's a reminder that even Hollywood legends are not immune to challenges, disagreements, and setbacks. But as their lives and careers have proven, what defines us is not the conflicts we encounter, but the kindness, integrity, and perseverance we bring to everything we do.
Reeves has shown little interest in wealth for its own sake throughout his career. Instead, he focuses on creating meaningful work and positively impacting the people around him. This selflessness and humility have followed him through his career, even in situations involving Hollywood legends. One of the most notable examples of this occurred during the production of The Devil's Advocate in 1997. Directed by Taylor Hackford, the film starred Keanu alongside Al Pacino, who played the charismatic head of a New York law firm. Pacino's role required a substantial salary, and initially, it was thought that the budget couldn't accommodate the acting heavyweight. However, Eager to work with Pacino, Reeves agreed to a significant pay cut. According to the Wall Street Journal, Reeves reduced his fee by a couple of $1 million and asked for the money to secure Pacino's involvement. This generosity allowed the film to unite two iconic actors and made for one of Reeves's most memorable performances. Despite achieving incredible success, he has never let fame or wealth overshadow his humility. His dedication to giving back remains constant, whether through generous donations, thoughtful gestures toward co-workers, or simply staying grounded and compassionate. In a world often dominated by ego and extravagance, Reeves shines as a refreshing example of how kindness and humility can thrive alongside stardom, making him a truly unique and beloved figure in Hollywood. Humility and interactions with the public. In a memorable display of his humility and social interaction with his fans, he once waited patiently in the rain for 20 minutes to get into his wrap party alongside his fellow partygoers, compared to many celebrities who might have demanded a grand entry or made a fuss. This act not only shows his simple attitude, but also shows his equality toward others. His humility doesn't end there. At the same party, amidst the festivities, he found a lost credit card and took it upon himself to track down the owner and return it personally. This small act of honesty and kindness speaks volumes about his humility and steadfast commitment to doing what is right, even when no one is watching. His humility is not only bound to the Hollywood industry, as he extends far beyond Hollywood's facade. In 1997, at the peak of his fame, he met a homeless man who had fallen on hard times. Instead of hurrying past or avoiding eye contact like many might, he sat beside the man, engaging in a heartfelt conversation and sharing a moment of sincere human connection. They exchanged stories, snacks, and drinks, breaking down social barriers and showcasing empathy beyond celebrity culture. Keanu Reeves has long been known for his dedicated and passionate fan base, but there is more. Wait until you see what happens later. His commitment to bringing joy to his supporters is nothing short of remarkable. One heartwarming example of this came during the filming of Bill and Ted Face the Music. As Reeves was en route to the set, he spotted a lawn sign that read, "You're breathtaking," referring to a viral moment when a fan shouted the phrase at him during an event. Keanu leaped out of the car to autograph the sign without delay and completely unprompted, leaving his mark in the most personal way possible. Ed Solomon, the Bill and Ted franchise co-writer, recounted the story, explaining that Reeves instantly recognized the message was meant for him and took the time to engage with it. This simple yet touching gesture is just one of many examples of Keanu's deep connection to his fans, showing that their admiration is something he truly values and reciprocates. Here is something more interesting. Reeves' humility is also shed through his interactions with people every day, like those stranded on the roadside. On one occasion, he met a woman whose car had broken down on a lonely highway. Without a second thought, he pulled over to assist her. Surprisingly, he didn't just call for roadside help, he went the extra mile. He drove the woman 50 miles out of his way to ensure she reached her house safely, showing remarkable generosity. Also, before Octavia Spencer became a household name, she was stranded on a Los Angeles street when her car broke down. To her surprise, the rider who stopped to help was Keanu Reeves. He helped her push the car to safety, leaving a lasting impression on Spencer and signifying his willingness to lend a hand, no matter the circumstances. We are about to reveal some impressions of people about Reeves. While Keanu Reeves is widely praised for his kindness and humility, some critics argue that his introverted nature and reluctance to share personal details may make him appear distant or unapproachable. And truly, unlike many celebrities who openly engage with the media and fans, Reeves keeps his personal life private. For some, this comes off as distant or secretive, leaving fans and critics alike questioning the deeper layers of his personality. Despite his legendary reputation for being a nice guy, some believe his public persona may lack depth or relatability because he chooses to stay guarded. In the eyes of some, Reeves's tendency to avoid the spotlight, paired with his understated acting style, raises questions about whether he fully utilizes the breadth of his talents and influence. Though his down-to-earth personality has won him legions of fans, others wonder if his hatred of the public eye and his reserved performances leave hidden potential. Reeves is a laid-back persona, often referred to as chill or detached by his peers, and can be seen as a double-edged sword in the high-energy world of Hollywood. While his calm behavior allows him to manage the pressures of fame easily, some critics argue that it may hinder his versatility as an actor. Though celebrated for his roles in The Matrix and John Wick, some believe his performances often fall short in films requiring intense emotional depth. Critics claim his indifferent approach, while effective in action-heavy cinema, can be flat or uninspired in more nuanced, emotionally driven roles. This has made some question whether Reeves is overrated compared to other actors with tempered emotions. Moreover, his humility has sparked different reactions from people. While his grounded, humble nature is refreshing in a fame-obsessed industry, some argue that his choice to shy away from endorsements or frequent public appearances might be a missed opportunity to connect more deeply with his audience.